Hello viewers, welcome back to our YouTube channel today. In today's video, we currently going to be looking at the different mistakes, the 5 mistakes that you or sometime makes people make sometime on their DS260, which is something that we really want to look at it and try to see how we can avoid it. And if you are new on this channel, please thank you for actually clicking on this channel, because there are so many other channels out there, and some other people, maybe you would want to click on other kind of videos that you want to watch. But if you choose to click on this one, then it means probably you are a DV lottery winner, or maybe you have someone or a relative who has probably win the DV lottery, and you want to figure out what are the mistakes, or maybe what is the best way you can uh, potentially avoid making mistakes on your DS260. Or you are maybe an immigrant visa applicant. For those of you going under, maybe going through maybe the consular processing, or maybe going through petition for maybe alien relative, you may want to check out what are the errors that you want to avoid on your DS260. Yes, guys, if you are new on this channel, please consider subscribing, because this is a channel, US and Canada immigration news channel, where we share publications from USCIS website, the Department of Homeland Security website, Department of State, and the Department of Justice website sometimes. So as well as we also make public some information like visitor visas, or maybe other type of visas, right? Or maybe uh, tourist visas and many other type of visas. So um, before we dive into the video, so we want to look at the different type of mistakes, because this is we've been having a lot of maybe text messages, a lot of questions from people uh, from all over, asking us questions on how to go about to your DS260. So maybe sometimes, so we thought we should make an extensive research on how to compile these common mistakes that people make sometimes, and we thought we want to share it here. And we want to encourage you to stick to the end, because there are the mistakes are quite they actually occur too often. So we want to stick to the end in order to actually get, because the mistakes, the last mistake, the mistake number 5, like mistake number 5 is one of the most important mistakes. So because we want to go like in order of importance, one of the most dangerous one that you shouldn't want to make. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin with the first mistake. So the first mistake, which I'll call it mistake number 1, is about feeling like the time frame within which you want to fill your DS260. So some other people during the DV lottery, for instance, once you probably have been selected, randomly selected for your DV lottery, typically you don't know if you should automatically fill your DS260 too early or too late, or when exactly do you want to fill your DS260. And that way, uh, so the mistake at that level, like mistake number 1, is filling your DS260 late. Okay, the late filling of your DS260 can affect your case like significantly, because the KCC Center actually do treat these cases according to the number of DS260 that you're filling. Because some other people, you want to look at it this way, like the Kentucky Consular Center, if they are to process. Let's say you've been randomly selected and you are probably number your case number is number 20, right? Case number 20. And the total number of selection could be maybe 100,000, right? So, and typically, the number of visas available for each, let's say, DV lorry session. We want to look at this situation typically for a DV lorry situation. So, if for each DV lorry session, there are 55,000 visas available for DV lorry winners. So you have some other people that have been randomly selected uh, that probably played like a family. Okay, let's say there was a family of five. So you had maybe a family of five has played like a family, right? They've played collectively. Let's say a family of six or maybe five. Yeah, five. So if someone plays and probably wins, there's going to be four people that are like dependents to this principal applicant, like the principal winner. There are four dependents that are also gonna have from these 55,000 visas. Okay, so uh, if you have that situation, there are four visas that are gonna go out to those dependents of that principal applicant that didn't actually play that, let's say they are not, they didn't win, but it is like they are derivatives. Okay, so if you delay, let's say you played, maybe you were selected, randomly selected as case number 20, and you delayed with your DS260. Maybe you feel your DS260 after uh let's say after 5 months, right? By maybe the fifth month or maybe by 4 months delay, you would have had maybe all the space for the 55,000 visas would have already been allocated. All the visas would have already been allocated for all those who actually completed their DS260 earlier than you did. So some cases, some people typically they are probably have been prepared their paperwork and they're always ready to fill out their DS260 maybe on day two after the publication of the results of the DV lottery. So if the DV lottery has been published and they prepare their paperwork and they're said they can fill out their DS260 the preceding day. Okay, so so during the first 1 month, so you want to make sure you want to avoid this issue. You want to make sure you fill out your DS260 maybe within the first 1 month after being selected for your DV lottery. So that way, you want to make sure you have that uh, visa available. You're gonna have a visa allocated for you. That is why so many people win the DV lottery and they don't end up making it up to the end of the process, to be able to travel. Okay, so that's one of the issues. So sometimes you win the TV lottery and you probably fill out your DS260 maybe later, maybe after 3 or 4 months after the results was published, and in the end you find out that you've never received an email from the Kentucky uh, Consular Center. You've never received an email. You've never been told if your DS260 or your documents were processed or not. So because of that, you risk not having the possibility to travel. So in order to avoid this issue, make sure you fill out your DS260 as soon as you can. That's the first mistake that we are looking at it. Okay. Okay. That is it. Let us go to mistake number two. Hey guys, thank you. Keep connecting, guys. Keep connecting. I can see a lot of people trying to connect. That's great. So if you have any question, please, you want to post your question in the comment section and maybe the chat section of this video, and we can reply to your chat as soon as we receive your chat. Let's see if we got it here. Let's see. Okay, great. Yep. So the chat room is open, guys. If you want to come into the chat room, you want to say something, you want to send a text, let us know what exactly you have in mind. Okay, let's continue, guys. So let's look at mistake number two. Mistake number two is how you fill your information. That is wrong information, filling wrong information on your DS260. Yes, guys, one thing you want to know, you want to take note of is the U.S. Department of State. Every little information that they take from you, that they receive from you, they keep it in the record. Okay, it's being kept in the record or in the system or in their saver. It's being saved in the saver. Okay, so there's no information that you will provide to the consular department and they won't, you'll be like, oh, they won't find out about it or whatever, or maybe they won't ever remember if this is what I said or this is what I submitted on my documents. So you want to make sure all the information you fill out on your DS260 are accurate to the best of your ability. Do not make an error to fill out information that are misleading or maybe lying on your DS260 or maybe making an error in maybe spelling your name wrong or maybe a wrong passport number or whatever. Okay. So here are some remarks about the information that you're filling. Let's first of all look at the section for personal information. So for the section of personal information, you want to make sure you fill out everything accurately. And if the information you're filling on your DS260 under the personal information section should be coming straight from your passport. Okay, should be coming from the passport, especially the passport you actually use in playing the DV lottery. So you want to make sure the information you're having on that uh, DS260 is coming from the passport. Same passport number, same names, well spelled, and same as it is in your passport. Place of birth, same as it is in your passport. If you have a different place of birth on your birth certificate, because sometimes you have a place of birth on your birth certificate being a little bit maybe like you could have it like maybe two-word location, right? And maybe on your passport you have just one word location. So whichever the case, so if you have, let's say, the information on your birth certificate for your place of birth is not exactly same as it is on your passport, so you want to fill out by the one that is on your passport because the State Department pays more attention but to your passport information because that's the information you actually use in playing your DV lottery. That's why they choose to say, hey, play your DV lottery with your passport. Passport is a requirement. So whatever most of the references that they're going to be checking or verifying on your personal information is going to be the information that is on your passport. So make sure you get that information from your passport. And the next thing under your personal information is your address. Your address, you have to watch out for your address. Let's check out what the address look like. Let's check out a typical situation of the address. Okay. Under the address section, you see here, they tell you what is your present, or maybe fill out your present in your previous address. So if you, what you want to do is to begin with your current address. Always make sure you begin with your current address where you are at this time, at the time of completion of that information. That's where you're currently residing. Okay. And previous addresses, that is one thing that you want to be very careful about it because what they mean at that level is to fill out the previous addresses where you've lived for more than 6 months since when you turned 16. Okay, wherever you've lived for more than 6 months since when you turned 16. That is the kind of information that you want to add, the kind of the addresses that you want to add. So if you do not, probably if you haven't lived in a particular location for more than 6 months since you turned 16, it is not important. You do not need to want to include all of that on your previous addresses. So make sure you fill out just the main addresses where you've lived, like maybe you've lived in any other country for more than 6 months, you want to include it over there, or maybe in a different address since you turned 16 for more than 6 months, you want to include it on it. And you want to also make sure you limit the number of addresses as much as you can. Do not fill in information for addresses that you left, that you've been there for like uh 1 month or 2 weeks. Some people like try to put in even information for addresses that in places where they've lived for just like maybe 3 days. So that way you're gonna have like series of addresses that you won't be able to remember even some of the addresses when you're gonna go for your interview. So because each of the address that you include, you fill out on this section, typically you always have uh, the date of you started living in that place, in that address, and when did you end living in that address. So make sure you include the most important part of your of the addresses, like the most addresses that you've lived in for more than 6 months since you turned 16, as well as make sure you fill out just the addresses that you've lived in for a longer period of time. Okay, so do not fill out short leave, like maybe you go on a weekend to visit your grandma, and you want to include maybe when visiting your grandmother, right? Okay, so those are the things you want to avoid. And excuse me, guys. Okay, that is it about address. So make sure you begin with your current address. This one, the present and previous address, is not your address, the address you'll be going to in the United States. It is the address where you are at this time as you're currently filling out your paperwork. And next, after that, the next address you want to see is the address where you're going to be moving to the United States. Here is the address where you're going to be moving to the United States. You have mailing and permanent address information. Mailing and permanent address information. So at this level, you're going to include here is a question. Is your mailing address same as your present address? Typically, you want to say no at this level. So when you say no, you want to fill out the address where you're going to be moving to the United States. Because when you fill out the address at that level, if they because that's where you're going to send your your green card or your permanent resident card once you arrive in the United States. So do not uh, say yes at this level if you are, except you are in the United States. So if you are out of the United States, you want to say no at this level, and you fill out your mailing address to be the address where you're going to go to the United States. And there is a preceding questions requesting or finding out, is this address where your you want your permanent resident card to be mailed? So you say yes. Okay, so watch out for those kind of errors, because you'll find yourself in a situation where you're going to travel over to the United States and you're going to be waiting uh, 6 months, 1 year later, you haven't received your green card. 2 years later, you haven't received your green card, and you want to start writing letters or making calls, and green card is not forthcoming. Okay, okay, so uh, and the last part under that mistake number two, which is the information you fill in on that DS260 form, is the background and security check questions. Okay, your background and security check questions. This is a very important section of that form, because those questions, the background security check questions, here they are. Let's pull up to the background. The background, the security check questions. Yeah, so this is the background security check questions. These questions are also called inadmissibility questions. Okay, those are inadmissibility questions. So there are questions here that if you respond, if based on your responses, can automatically disqualify you from obtaining the immigrant visa. So you want to make sure you pay attention to these questions. If you do not know any one of those questions properly, you want to consult with an attorney. Okay, watch out for this type of questions. You want to consult with an attorney if you do not know any one of these questions, because these questions are background and security check questions. They are inadmissibility questions. So for every question that you answer yes in this section, you're going to give an explanation for each of those questions. We are not saying you should respond no because you don't want to give an explanation, but you want to make sure you answer the question, you understand the question before you answer that question, because if you answer the question wrongly, or maybe without understanding what the question means, it can potentially make you inadmissible to obtain that visa. Just one thing with the DV lottery winners is each time someone wins the DV lottery, they are sometimes hiding. They don't want to tell anyone that, hey, I've won the DV lottery, because you do not want somebody to know that you won the DV lottery. And because of that, you're probably trying to figure out how to work out things by yourself. And uh, you have that high tendency, there's a likely chance that you're going to make an error. So at that level, you want to make sure you verify, check it out. If you do not have maybe any close uh, relative, or maybe someone you want to verify, you want to maybe find out the meaning of that particular question, you can check it out with maybe any other extended friend or someone, or maybe who is not probably a relative. But you also want to check out for yourself. You also want to make a lot of research, make an extensive findings about that particular question before you answer the question. If there's anything that you think that you do not, uh, you're not sure about the answer that you want to give on that particular question, so check it out and make sure you do not make an error at that level. Yes, so we're gonna move on to mistake number 3. Yes, guys, please stick to the end of this video, because one of that is we are going in order of most important. So the next mistake you want to avoid is mistake, let's say number 3, is not printing out or saving uh, a copy of your DS260, of your completed DS260. Yes, guys, when you fill out your DS260, uh, towards the end of DS260, there you're gonna have an option where you can save or print out the DS260, what we typically call confirmation page. Not just the confirmation page, but you want to print out the confirmation page as well as possibly the entire DS260, because there's an option where you can click on print when you fill out the DS260 to the end. There's an option where you can click on print, and once you click on print, it's gonna pop up in a way you could print it out, or you can save it, save the entire form. So we want to make sure you save the form, uh, like make sure you save all the sections, because typically once you click on print, usually it pops up in 2 pages per click. Each click you click on print, you're gonna have an option where you can save the 2 sections of the pages. So you want to make sure you save out all the sections. skip and go up to all the section and save out everything that you actually have entered on your DS260. I'm going to tell you why we think you should save a copy of the entire form at the end. We're going to tell you why in just a moment. So that way, you want to make sure you fill out everything correctly and make sure you save uh, a copy or a review copy of the DS260. Make sure you save out the review copy. The reason why we're saying you should do that is because when you're going to be going for an interview, you're going to have to review these questions on your DS260 before you go, or maybe your answers on your DS260 before you go for your interview. Typically, when you fill out the DS260, you may have an interview maybe a year later, or maybe 6 months later, or 8 months later. And at this time, you may probably not have in mind, or you may not be able to remember all what you actually fill out on your form DS260. And most of the questions during the interview are going to come out from the DS260. So that's why if you need to save out a copy and make sure you review a copy, you review all the information before you go out for your DS260, before you go for your interview. I mean, so that is why we think it is important that you save out or print out a copy of the entire DS260 or the information that you actually fed on the DS260. If you do not have the option to be able to print out a copy, one thing you want to do is to write down all the responses that you actually completed on the DS260. Write out all the information. It is very important. Hey guys, if you are new on this channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming on this channel. This is a US and Canada immigration news channel. Here we make available information for uh, all the immigrant visas, visitor visas, family petition, work visas, and all the immigration news for both US and Canada. So if you are new, please consider subscribing on this channel, because each time we make a new video, we want to make sure we help out for anything that is important for you guys out there. And also remember to hit the like button, guys. Please hit out the like button. Thank you. Thank you. I can see uh, so many people here online. They're watching. Thank you, guys. Thank you for connecting. Keep connecting, guys. Keep connecting. And let us know in the comment or chat section of this video. Let us know if you have any question. Post it in the comment section. Post it in the chat section. I mean, yes. Thank you for connecting, guys. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna go on to mistake number 4. You wanna avoid mistake number 4. So the next mistake you wanna avoid is not constantly checking your email. That's one of the mistakes you wanna avoid. Not constantly checking your email, maybe on daily basis, or maybe each time you, maybe every other day. Okay, this is very important, guys. The reason why we're saying this is because the cases the consular department is fond of communicating with applicants only via emails. Okay, they don't like try to call, give you a phone call or whatever. So that's why under the personal information section, one of the emails that we want to make sure is correct in your under your personal information section is the same email you actually use in playing your DV lottery. Make sure you have that email correct, or even the secondary email section. You want to make sure you get the emails correct. Let me show you a little bit where uh, the emails that we're talking about. Let's see, personal information. Let's see. Yeah, so under personal information number 1, there's a section where you're expected to fill your email. So here's the email section, email. So you have the option. There is an option where you're gonna fill out your email under your personal information. So make sure you get the right email, and potentially the same email you actually use in playing the TV lottery, like we said earlier. So that's typically the situation. So, and you want to make sure you are constantly checking your email, like every other day or maybe every day. Keep on be on top of your emails, because if you are not constantly checking your emails, if you do not have, if you are not on top of your emails, you're going to potentially miss information. Probably they're going to send an email to you, say, hey, we need an additional information about this particular question or particular, we need an additional information about these uh, particular section of your form, or maybe we've completed processing your DS260 and we're working on scheduling you for an interview. If you do not have access to this information, you're going to miss out information, guys. You're going to miss out the maybe your interview, and if you do not show up for your interview, you miss it out. Okay, so that's one thing you don't want to miss. That's one thing you don't want to miss. Thank you guys for connecting. Thank you guys for connecting. Thanks for connecting. Yeah, check out the chat section, guys. You can post a question in the chat section. Okay, so we're gonna answer those questions as soon as once we finish with this session. Once we finish with this session. Okay, so yeah, so we are still under mistake number 4. So if you want to make sure you are on top of your email, check out your emails, your main inbox, and your spam box. Okay, so that's very important. So that's the kind of mistake you don't want to make. You don't want to make that mistake for not checking your emails and you miss out information or important information, or maybe any correspondences that is coming from the KCC. Watch out for that. Okay, and the next mistake, which is mistake number 5, is maybe if you potentially miss your interview. Okay, if you miss your interview for any one reason or the other, it's something that you do not want to miss. You do not want to miss out your interview. If you miss out your interview, that's going to be actually the end of your immigrant visa process. Okay, you're going to miss out for the entire process. Okay, do not make that error to miss out your interview. Okay, so that's mistake number 5. And some of the tips, we may want to give you some of the tips, some of the tips that you want to consider for your interview. Though we may still gonna make a separate video on how you gonna approach your interview, or some of the potential questions that you're gonna see at the interview, or maybe some of uh, the ways or the things that you need to do as far as your interview is concerned. We may want to make a separate video on that later. So if you're interested to know if uh, what are the kind of things that you're going to face at the interview, or how's your interview is going to look like, or how soon do you think your interview may come up, you want to consider subscribing so that each time we going to make that video available, you should be able to see it, guys. Please, thank you for subscribing. Okay, so we're going to move out to mistake number 6. This one is a bonus mistake. Actually, we're going to be categorized on the 5 mistakes, but this is a bonus mistake. And that mistake is not feeling or maybe not following the instructions in the entire process. Okay, if you do not follow the instruction in the entire process, is a red flag. Watch out to make sure you follow out all the instructions in the entire process, beginning with your DS260, which that's the first thing you want to do. Fill out your DS260 and sign it electronically, and make sure you submit it, and you're going to receive a confirmation email telling you, hey, your DS260 has been successfully submitted. And you want to make sure you keep out a copy of your DS260 of all your responses on your DS260. That is the next important information that you want to keep. And the third thing, you want to consider um, compiling your civil documents, keeping all your civil documents together. If there are some documents that are not in English, you may want to consider translating these documents. Consider some translating the documents into English, as well as all the information you fill out on your DS260 should be in English. Okay, should be in English, and you want to make sure you stay on top of your email in order to receive correspondences. One of the things you want to consider doing is, if probably you fill out your DS260 and after probably 3 or 4 months, so after a couple of months, you haven't received any email from the KCC, you want to consider sending an email to the KCC and telling, hey, I filled out my DS260 and I haven't received any email yet from you guys. Well, I'm filling out this, I'm writing out this inquiry email to check out if everything is okay. So you're going to receive once you send in that email, you're going to receive an instant or an automated email telling you, hey, your inquiries email has been received, and you're going to receive a response from us shortly. So later you're gonna go back to, you're gonna be on top of your email as well, and after a couple of maybe weeks, you should be able to receive a response to your findings. Okay, just check out for that. And you want to make sure all your documents are okay. And when you get invited for an interview, you're going to make sure you take all the documents, your CV documents, you take it to the interview for your interview session. And typically, that is how the process works. And once you get your interview, I think one of the sessions you need to do, one of the things you need to do, you want to also pay for your DV lottery. You want to pay for your green card fees. You want to pay for your green card fee. Make sure you pay off your green card fee before you travel to the United States. Okay. So those are some of the most important things that we thought we should share out with you here. If you like the video, guys, please consider to subscribe, comment in the comment section of the video, and also hit the like button. And we want to end here. If we do not have any question in the chat room, okay, at this time we do not have any question in the chat room, but make sure you send out any question that you have in the comment section, and we'll do our best to answer your question to the best of our ability. Thanks for watching, guys.